It's going to be the hero versus the villain in this boxing match. But the question is, who do you think is the hero and who do you think is the villain? But I know I can't be the only one who's excited to see that boxing match happen between Jake Paul and KSI. We are back in action, my friends. I am so glad to see you back. I think the future of YouTube boxing is going to get so shaken up, I tell you, that it might just break into a million little pieces. Because if the internet went so crazy and wild for the Logan Paul and KSI boxing rematch, I can't wait to see what happens to the internet when Logan Paul's little brother, Jake Paul, steps into the boxing ring and goes mano-a-mano against KSI. Because Jake Paul, little brother Jake of Logan Paul, the king of all Jake Paulers, wants a piece of KSI. Just when you think this whole YouTube boxing roller coaster was over and done with for a long time, it's about to start all over again, but this time it's going to be way bigger than last time and get even way more interesting now that Jake Paul is in the mix. So hold on to your sodas, everyone, and buckle up for safety, because prepare yourself to see even wilder and even more crazier press conferences to happen in the future. And you better hold on to your popcorn too, because we're all going to see a ton of YouTube videos from both Jake Paul and KSI about this boxing match. I don't know when this boxing match is going to happen, but Jake Paul said it himself that he's up to box against KSI, but the only condition he has is that the timing has to be right. If that's what Jake Paul said, then that's good enough for me to believe that we're all going to be cleared for takeoff soon. And this boxing match looks like it's really going to happen in the future no matter what. Because if that's the only condition that Jake Paul has, is that the timing has to be right, then things are looking real good for me and everyone else who wants to see that boxing match happen. I say let's give Jake Paul all the time that he needs so that we can all see this boxing match go down. The only thing I'm hoping for is that this right timing that Jake Paul speaks of doesn't take forever. But the craziest part about this entire thing is I'm not even a Jake Pauler and I'm rooting for Jake Paul to win. I know that sounds weird because I'm part of the Low gang and not even a Jake Pauler, but you know what? Jake Paul has earned some of my respect for what he's doing for his brother, and that's the only reason why I'm rooting for Jake Paul to win, because he's not doing this for himself, but he's actually doing this to avenge his brother's loss. Just like how KSI is going to avenge Deji's loss. That's what you call a real brother right there, and one hell of a fantastic storyline for this boxing match. So not only is this going to be an entertaining boxing match, but I'm so in love with the storyline that goes along with it, because that's what makes this boxing match a combination of some WWE wrestling and some real boxing all at the same time. And something tells me that KSI better watch out and not underestimate Jake Paul, because Jake Paul, with the power of all the Jake Paulers around the world, is coming after KSI, and he's motivated to avenge his brother's loss.
I hate KSI with all my heart. I was just on edge. Like if my brother's fighting, then I'm fighting.
Jake Paul says he hates KSI, and when those two guys start boxing each other, we're all going to see what happens when the tiger comes out of the cage now. I'm rooting for Jake Paul to win, but he's coming into this boxing match as a huge underdog because KSI knows how to box. But let me tell you why Marshmallow like me, who's not even a Jake Pauler, is rooting for Jake Paul to win this boxing match. Does anyone remember seeing Bad Boys 2 when Will Smith says to Martin Lawrence, "We ride together, we die together, bad boys for life"? Anyone who has seen Bad Boys 2 and has someone in their life that they really care about beyond anything really felt this scene touch their heart. That to me is one of the most legendary and touching scenes I have ever seen in my life, because that's what you call loyalty, and that's what you call a true friend, because it's bad boys for life. Crying is not a bad thing, but that was one of the few times I almost cried watching a movie. Everyone cries at some point when you watch a movie. Guys cry and girls cry, but the only difference is what kind of movies that make us actually cry. When girls watch romantic movies, it's all about that end of the movie kiss that touches their heart and makes them cry. But guys are a little different, because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Because when guys watch an action movie, it's all about that loyalty and seeing who's really your true friend when it's that make or break moment. When things are good, everyone is your friend, but when things go bad, the friends that stick with you to the end are what you call true friends. That's what touches a guy's heart, and that right there will make a guy cry seeing that kind of loyalty when they watch a movie. Nothing says you're a true friend than being on a rooftop with your home dog and giving each other some sniper cover so you guys have a fighting chance to survive against the bad guys. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I saw the video of Jake Paul crying backstage when his brother Logan lost his boxing match against KSI. I don't know why, but that scene kind of reminded me of Bad Boys 2, and all I saw was two brothers caring for one another. I don't know much about Jake Paul as a person because I don't watch his YouTube videos like that, but from what I saw, Jake Paul is a real brother to Logan and cares about him no matter what. That's why I can't wait to see this boxing match happen, because Jake Paul is coming after KSI now and there is going to be no mercy. I'm telling you guys, I know I was pretty excited for the Logan Paul and KSI boxing rematch because that's what you call entertainment. But now we got Jake Paul and KSI going at it in an upcoming future boxing match. Okay, now I can say I have never been this excited before to see a boxing match happen. I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I would see a boxing match fueled by vengeance happen in the world of YouTube boxing, but it is, everyone. It's going to be the hero versus the villain in this boxing match. But the question is, who do you think is the hero and who do you think is the villain? But I know I can't be the only one who's excited to see that boxing match happen between Jake Paul and KSI. And in the spirit of Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the greatest WWE wrestlers of all time and one of my heroes, how many of you guys want to see Jake Paul versus KSI for that YouTube championship belt? Give me a hell yeah. But let's try this one more time just in case you didn't hear me good. I said, how many of you guys want to see Jake Paul versus KSI for that YouTube championship belt? Give me a hell yeah. I watch a lot of WWE wrestling and I love a good storyline, and I'm telling you, this Jake Paul and KSI storyline is one of the best ones ever. Because like I said earlier, I don't know much about Jake Paul as a person, but I can respect his loyalty that he has for his brother Logan. Loyalty is very important, especially if you're family. Loyalty is so strong, that's why entire sport teams come charging out to the field and defend their boy when they need some help. Just take a look at baseball. That's a pretty peaceful sport. Everyone is eating hot dogs and pretzels, and they even have a 7th inning stretch. That sounds pretty peaceful to me, but as soon as one player on the team is fighting with another player from the other team, it's World War III, everyone, and the casualty rate is going to be high because it doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong, because the entire team from both sides go charging to the field to defend their guy. That's what you call loyalty. The time for questions will be for later, but until then, it's a call to action from both teams because their team member needs help. Jake Paul's loyalty was tested when KSI punched his brother Logan after the bell rang in their first boxing match. The crazy thing about family members is brothers and sisters can fight against one another. They can drop diss tracks and they can even delete all the cool looking vacation pictures you took at Disneyland off your phone because they were mad. But no one, and I mean no one, is allowed to fight or put their hands on their brother or sister, because that's when World War III happens. I know in boxing, getting hit in the face is going to happen because that's the whole point of boxing, but KSI punching Logan Paul after the bell rang was some unnecessary roughness. That's why I don't blame Jake Paul for running into the boxing ring and almost going Hulk mode on KSI for doing that to his brother Logan. If Logan Paul did that to KSI and Deji, KSI's little brother, didn't run into the boxing ring to defend him, I would question a lot of things, and his loyalty would be one of them. But good thing Jake Paul didn't go Hulk mode on KSI and get Logan disqualified, because I have a feeling that if he did, it would have been absolute chaos in that boxing ring. I think this pay-per-view should be called Jake Paul versus KSI. A brother's vengeance, because both KSI and Jake Paul are going to try to avenge their brother's boxing loss. Everyone remembers the first boxing match where Deji, the younger brother of KSI, boxed against Jake Paul and lost, and we all saw what happened to Logan Paul when he boxed against KSI and lost by a split decision. So now it's going to be brother versus brother, Jake Paul versus KSI, with each of them trying to avenge their brother's loss. I know both sides are going to be motivated to try and win this boxing match, and it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top and earns that victory, Jake Paul or KSI. I'm rooting for Jake Paul, but damn man, he's going to have to box against KSI, and that guy knows how to box well. KSI has been boxing longer than Jake Paul, so I think that his boxing skills are going to be much better than Jake Paul's. And let's not forget that KSI made huge improvements from the first time he fought Logan Paul and won. I remember seeing Jake Paul go up against KSI's little brother Deji and seeing him have his hands full on that one. But that boxing match was almost 2 years ago, so we're all going to see if Jake Paul is a completely different boxer than he was back then. I don't know why, but for some reason Jake Paul is getting underestimated by KSI's trainer, Vidal Riley.
We know Jake is yeah, next question.
I know KSI can box, and he's the current YouTube boxing champion, and Jake Paul is coming into this boxing match as an underdog. But if I was KSI, I wouldn't underestimate Jake Paul too much, because if he does, Jake Paul might surprise KSI and just snag that victory over him.
If you make any mistakes, you have to pay. You make any mistakes, you have to pay.
I think Jake Paul has two things to his advantage over KSI that could really help him snag that victory. Because for starters, Jake Paul has one of the best sparring partners you can ever have, and that's his own brother Logan Paul. I'm sure his brother Logan is going to try and help his younger brother Jake prepare for this boxing match. If Logan Paul boxed against KSI and got a split decision, imagine having that guy as your sparring partner to prepare you for your next boxing match. So all the training that Jake Paul is going to be getting is definitely going to be top notch, because he has his brother Logan helping him out. Because I'm sure part of this right timing that Jake Paul is talking about is when he's able to beat his brother Logan in boxing. Because as soon as his boxing skills are good enough to beat his brother, then that's when he knows he's going to be ready to box KSI. And the last advantage I think Jake Paul has over KSI is that Jake is going to learn from his brother's mistakes and not repeat them. Jake Paul is not going to do something dumb like hitting a downed opponent and lose 2 points. And Jake Paul is definitely not only going to throw his jab the entire time and no straight rights. I'm expecting to see some serious right hands and a very crazy and wild boxing match, just like the first time Logan Paul and KSI boxed each other. It's going to be nothing but offense and attacking with some defense and a lot of serious and powerful right hand punches from Jake Paul. Jake Paul said in a locker room after his brother Logan lost that he would have won the fight against KSI if he was in the ring.
If I was in that ring this year, I would have won the fight.
I think that's a pretty bold statement to say, but in time we're all going to see if Jake Paul can really beat KSI in a boxing match. But let me wrap this video up. Leave me a comment down below. Who do you think would win in a boxing match, KSI or Jake Paul? But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. And if you want more, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all later.